everyone, and welcome to another exciting video. And today we'll be covering how we can define and override default CSS and JS values for arguments in a JavaScript function Mixin. So oftentimes it makes sense to define sensible default styles for Mixins. This way the user can just make a call to the Mixin and pass in any explicit styles that they want to override. Now in this one, we'll learn how to convert arguments with default values as well as how to use default values with objects destructuring. So here you can see that we have our two buttons, Sass and CSS-in-JS button. Over here you see the constants.js file, and these variables already have some values defined like padding y, x, base font size, border radius. So what we are trying to do over here is make use of these default values when you're creating a button. That's the one in green color. And to do that, we'll be setting these values as the default values so that when in our index.js file, you see this button size coming up. If I go ahead and remove everything from here, still I should be able to generate this button, and that is what we'll be doing. So here you now see that I don't have any parameter passed to this button size function. So what exactly are we doing over there in the mixins.js file from where this button size is coming up? So if I go and see the mixins.js, I've made certain changes over here. First is that we are importing the default values from the constants.js file. And once we have those values with us, we are assigning them to the parameters that we were supposed to pass. So here you see this object structure that we had in our previous lecture. And within that, we are now assigning these values. So whatever we are retrieving from constants.js goes into these variables. And here you see we are creating a default object because we cannot have something undefined. So if we are not passing anything, this is what it is going to do. It will assign all these default values, and then it will go ahead and generate the CSS literal. So here basically what we are doing is we are using the default values and name arguments at the same time. So here we have our default object coming up, and this is required because we cannot destructure undefined. And the syntax is called destructuring. We are taking these properties from the past object and we are creating local variables in this function. So here we define the default value for each variable. Now, if I go ahead and save this file, you'll notice that it is not appearing at all. So what is basically wrong over here? If you see, only one of the font size variables that we have over here says that it is being used, and rest three of them are not highlighted. It says that it is not being used at all. So padding y or padding x, it says that it has been declared, but it is not being used or never being read. So what we need to do, we need to rename these parameters that we have over here. So it says padding y, padding x with an underscore, and then similarly for border radius, we have border underscore radius. We are then making use of these variables over here in the CSS key value pair, and now you can see that the output is coming up like we intended. The benefit of this is that now over here I can go ahead and just pass any one parameter that I feel like updating. So if I feel like I need to now pass padding y as 14 pixel, you can see that I am just defining that only over here. Rest of the values are being picked up as default values from the constants.js file. So that's how we can define and override default CSS in JS values for arguments in a JavaScript function Mixin.